In 2006, we were at another location until October of 2011. And then in October, we moved here to this location. And there were a couple of reasons for that move. One was our other location, as it was in a beautiful area and it was near the lake, but it was very difficult for the girls to get anywhere because we weren't on a bus, an easy accessible bus line. So when we moved here, one of the things we looked for when we were getting a new home for Shifra was something that was on a bus line. And we happen to be on 2 here, so that the girls can get pretty well anywhere they need to get to in Oakville and Burlington with just a couple of buses. So that's made a huge difference to them just in terms of being able to live independently. We had an extreme makeover done in January. Another community organization came in and organized the whole redecoration of this house. So there were interior designers donated their time. IKEA donated furniture for the living room, dining room, some kitchen, some of the bedroom shelves and bathroom shelves. And we had a complete extreme makeover done in one weekend. We had 50 volunteers from the group Insight, which is a group for single moms, and also just community members that heard about the project and wanted to participate in it and donate their time. And some people donated gift cards, different businesses donated paint and supplies. And so for a budget of $200, we had a complete and total redecorating makeover. We don't keep a waiting list, mainly because when we get calls, it's an urgent need. And so what we do then is refer on to another maternity home or anywhere else that we can kind of make a referral to that's best for that individual if we can't take them here. We don't discuss birth control methods, but the public health nurse does with them. We have a public health nurse that is assigned to Shifra, so she comes in at least once a month, more often if the girls need her, and more often as the girls get closer to their due dates. We have 4 staff, child and youth worker, myself, and then we have an admin assistant who also visits with the girls as well as doing some admin work, and then we have a bookkeeper. We do have some rules. We have suggested curfews, which are really just for the health of the baby and the health of the mother. So, you know, we suggest that on a weeknight they be home by between 10 and 11, and on a weekend by midnight. We don't enforce that because these girls are older, but if we hear that they've been out really late time after time after time after time, then we do just speak to them about the fact that the importance of getting a lot of sleep, and that's for their own health and the health of their baby. In terms of having people over, they are welcome to have people over. This is their home, but anyone that comes into the house when there's no staff here do need to have a police check done. And that's so that we can ensure the safety of the other girls in the house and the babies that are living here. So if somebody has a friend and is going to pick them up, if they've got their police check and we've seen it, and staff also need to meet those people before they're allowed to come in the house. If none of those steps have been done, then they are just asked to wait outside until the girl comes out. But if once we've gotten to know them and we've been introduced to them and we've had a police check done, then they are welcome to have their friends, and if the fathers of the babies are involved, they're welcome to come as well. Any of the families of the girls that live here, parents or siblings or friends, are encouraged to come. We don't want the girls to be isolated while they're living here. We really want them to have their support system because that's their best chance for having a successful life once they leave here. We're funded by community donations, so we are lucky to be supported by many different community groups, churches, some businesses, just local individuals, and not just within Burlington, but within the whole region of Halton, because we are the only maternity home in the whole region of Halton. And Peel region doesn't have one either, so we often get girls coming from Peel region. So we're very, very lucky that the community is very supportive of us, and not only with funds, but also with baby clothes and diapers and wipes and car seats and cribs and anything that babies need. We often will get schools or churches or other community groups phoning us and saying, you know, we thought we'd have a baby shower for you. And so they'll have a baby shower and they'll just, ask people one day to bring all kinds of different baby items, and then all of those items are donated to Shifra. Certainly it's being a new parent and being by yourself. So we really encourage all of our moms to try and build a support system. And if they don't have that support system with their families, then we try to encourage them, do you have friends that can be there for you, friends that can help you out? If they've got the baby's father, then that's a big support, if he's willing to help them as well. And if not, then what we do is when they leave Shifra, while they're here at Shifra, but also when they leave, is we connect them with different community services that are available. So if they don't have a personal support system, they can have a social support system and a network that's put in place and that they're familiar with. So that ranges from just knowing where social service agencies are and connecting with them ahead of time, to knowing where you can go and get secondhand baby items, where you can go for help if you're feeling really, really stressed, where to go for parenting information, the public health nurse, the public health department. So it's really difficult to be a single parent. It's even more difficult to be a young single parent and doing it alone. So that is the biggest challenge that they face, really, is that they're alone. So our goal is to try and not have them be alone. Some do and some don't. Some girls, when they're here, have not told anybody that they're pregnant, so we don't usually hear from them. We do sometimes via Facebook. Some other girls come back and get the next size of diapers that they need, or the next size of baby clothes, or if their baby is now moved into exercisers and things, we get those donated. So then we give them to our girls when their babies are older. So it really just depends on the girl and her circumstances. Yeah, I believe so, because when they come to us, they're usually at their wits' end. They've been couch surfing, or they've been living in a women's shelter, which is not set up for a pregnant girl, and not often for newborns. And so when they come to us, they really, this is not their first choice usually. I mean, your first choice will always be to live with your family or friends or people you know. So when they come to us, they really are feeling quite desperate. And by the time they leave, they're feeling good about themselves. They know that they have us to lean on. And depending on when they've come and how many of our life skills programs, they know a little bit more about budgeting and baby care and what they need to do to be a mom. And we also work with them on setting goals, short-term goals and long-term goals. So when they first come to Shifra, we'll say to them, what's your long-range goal? Where do you want to be? Do you want to go back to school? Do you want to be working full-time? What field do you want to be in? And then we break it down into smaller goals that are attainable while they're here, working towards them while they're here, and then also working towards those goals when they leave, so that they can finally reach their long-term goal. So we hope that they have a plan in place when they leave here. And I think everybody feels better when you have a plan and kind of know what you need to do to get somewhere and know how to get there. So we get calls from lots of different people just inquiring about Shifra and what we do and what we're about. And sometimes it's from the girls themselves, sometimes it's from a community member, a family friend, a guidance counselor at the school. So once we've given that information and they've decided that they'd like to proceed a little bit further, then we ask them to come in for what we call an initial intake and tour. So at that point, the girl comes in, we give her a tour of Shifra, we talk about who we are and what we do and what we provide, and then we do an initial intake form, which helps us learn whether or not they would be a good fit for Shifra. And then they get to ask us questions so they can decide whether we're a good fit for them. And then we usually ask them to take 2 days to think about it, and we take 2 days to think about it and just kind of evaluate whether it would be a good fit. Because we are independent living, we do have some requirements of our girls for them to come here and for it to be a success. So after those 2 days, if we're both in agreement that it's a good fit, then they come back in and we do the second part of our intake, and at that point set a move-in date for the girls to come. Sometimes, depending on the urgency of the need, sometimes we do that second part of the intake on the first day that they move in, if they're needing shelter immediately. Most times we have about within a week of someone coming in and making the decision. Usually the move-in time is about a week later. The majority parent, but we had 5 babies born in 2011 of girls who were still living here when they had their babies. Of the 5 babies that were born to girls while they were still living at Shifra, 2 were up for adoption, went up for adoption, and 3 were kept by the mothers and being raised by the mothers. And we have in the past had a situation where the girl decided to parent and then about a year later put her little one up for adoption because she just was finding it really, really difficult and decided that the best thing for that child was to be put up for adoption. And we work very closely with an adoption agency out of Hamilton that does open adoption. So the girls get to choose the families, they get to meet the families, and they get to stay in touch with their child. We don't have trained counselors as such, but the adoption agency does. So they help them with that. As well as being a maternity residence, we also are a resource center. So if there are other young moms out in the community who are living at home or have a living situation that is working for them, but still need some extra support and just want even to know other young pregnant mums and new mums, then they are welcome to come and attend any of our programming free of charge. So we're open to anybody. The girls do attend a program. We have a mandatory program. Some of our programs are not mandatory and others are. So our life skills and childbirth and infant care programs are mandatory. The girls have to attend those. But any of the programs run by volunteers, if it's a baking class or knitting or photography or whatever it might be, the girls can pick and choose what ones they want to attend. The other mandatory program that we have them attend that is not run at Shifra, and it is run through the health department, is a program called the Prenatal Nutrition Program. And it is a nutritionist and a public health nurse that do a 2-hour program, and they teach them healthy eating and also some things about prenatal care. And then we try to encourage our girls to attend prenatal classes. If they come to us too late in their pregnancy and we can't get them into a prenatal class just because they're too close, then the public health nurse comes more often and will do prenatal classes, and our staff will also do more along the prenatal class line, working hand in hand with the public health nurse so that the young woman has all the information she needs before she gives birth. If they come to us early enough in their pregnancy, then we hook them up with a prenatal program out in the community, so prenatal classes out in the community.